think it was about a month after he passed away, I was overwhelmed with the feeling that I was alone, and there was this big dark void in my life. We had been together for 50 years, and suddenly there was no one there. I couldn't almost bear the void, the aloneness of it, and I cried out to the Lord, and it was like the Lord said to me, in the beginning there was a void. And what did I do in the void? He said he hovered over it. And then from there, he began to create. And he said, I'll fill it.
At the very end, Reg said to me, I don't know if I can keep this together. He said he did the very best that he could. And I said, I did the very best I could. And then he says, I'm worried about you. I go, no, not to worry. And, but however, at the end of the journey, when he passed, I thought it was going to be a lot easier for me because the journey was so long. Wrong. God took me by the whatevers and sat me down and said, you got lots to clean up and go through before you get to the other end. And so it has been a interesting journey where I thought I had so much strength and whatever, but when you have the loss of your soulmate, if you want to call him that, it's tough.
I think my alone times and when it hits me the worst is my evenings, when my day has been busy, and my evenings have been is our time that we always sat and together watched our favorite TV shows. He had his chair, and now that chair is empty, and so then that hits me big time. And another thing hits me is when I crawl into bed and his side of the bed is empty, and I miss that cuddle and that goodnight kiss. And it is just an ongoing dull ache that happens, and it just doesn't go away. I just feel that there's many times that I have to listen to scripture and in order for me to even go to sleep, because that's when I get to the point that I just I don't know whether I can do it anymore.
The long journey, basically 15 and a half years of nurturing and caring and carrying a lot of the load. I hear doing lots of things around the house because I had to. And so we were talking, and of course, stages of your journey. The nurturer is kind of like this, believe it or not, because how's Reg? How's Reg? How's Reg? How's Reg? How's Reg? Everybody, focus. Even the families, focus. What he wants, where he's going, happy birthday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever that all is. It looks quite different after the end of the, And so because you've been strong, because you've been resilient and so on and so forth, then you feel like you're standing there and you go, where's everybody gone, right? I am not a very good example with regards to relying on other people. And so reaching out and having them help, it was very difficult.
Well, I had an experience now this last time when I went to my grandson's wedding. I took Dan's truck. I went to fill up with fuel and I could not get the gas cap open. And it's one of those locking gas caps. And I panicked and I thought, what am I going to do? I need fuel to get going. And I just didn't know. And I worked on it and read the directions. And Dan, where are you when I need you? But God saw my need and he brought somebody to my rescue, and he was able to open it up for me. And there's just those times when things happen around the house or things start to break or whatever, and oh man, Dan, if you can only be here, because he was a very he was very handy. Like, he could do anything and everything.
When you're with somebody for 50 years and you have covenant with them, and then suddenly they're gone, you don't have a covenant anymore with a person on earth. You have a covenant in heaven with the Lord, but sometimes I feel that's not enough. And then I feel the aloneness of being here and going on without my husband, and bearing the responsibility of my household and building. And God has helped me in that.
Our first Christmas, at least we were together as a whole family, and that helped get through us. But I think the biggest thing was just a month after, not even a month, after Dan passed away, we celebrated our 49th, would have celebrated our 49th wedding anniversary. That was really tough to know that we were together for 49 years, just about made it to 50, but it was hard. Those first things just really make it difficult, for sure.
Been married since, 21, right? And so that's a long time to be together or in an institution of sorts. And then you try and find out who you are. Because of course the aging process, right? And so who are you? Not who I am. And this is the toughest part of my journey is finding, what do I like? When do I like it? Where do I want to go?
Some of the things that Dan and I would invite people in for a meal, and that he was really great in the kitchen, and he would pitch right in and slice the meat, mash the potatoes and everything, and I would just do the other stuff. But I know that I've had people in since he's been gone, and I am so disorganized. I haven't a clue what I'm doing. The meat's burning, the potatoes are overcooked and everything else, but he always kept me together. And those types of things that I really miss him, and then I shy away from wanting to even have people in because I think, oh man, I'll just make a mess of it.
My greatest loss with him is the connection of him knowing me. He was, patient with me, and it was wonderful. So that in talking with him, like Ruth had said, that's the hardest part for me.
I feel even when I lay in bed and I'm listening to music, and I just feel his presence, and I feel his arms around me, and that's where I find my comfort when I'm really sad and really down and discouraged or whatever. I actually feel God's presence with me, and I'm thankful for that.
I didn't feel as alone for months, and I felt at peace. But then, like Naomi, I wondered, where were they living in Moab? Did they own property? Did they have a home? She lost her husband, she lost her sons, and now she's responsible for all of that. That's what my situation was I now have property that's not developed, it's not finished, and I felt a strong determination to stay there and finish it, because I really felt that we were called here, and that my husband was working very hard the last couple of years to prepare a place for me, because somehow he knew he might not be here. Just like Jesus said, I go to prepare a place for you. I felt the Lord in that so deeply that this was like a metaphor.
I often think about Naomi leaving Moab, and like people, I'm sure she had friends there, and other family members or whatever, that she actually made that decision to make that move. And I know that there's a lot of people that have asked me, are you going to stay around because all your family's in Alberta? And yes, it goes through my mind, but at this point in time, I feel that is this is where I need to be,
And every week there's something that is said that brings the whole thing alive for me and makes me think about the parallels in my life with Naomi and in a way with Ruth.
The daughter-in-law staying and being committed to her, I think, is fantastic, because not only is it a learning curve for her to rely on the daughter-in-law, but the commitment of the daughter-in-law to embrace her mother-in-law is fantastic, which will give her strength and help her with some direction and support, and especially love.
One of the things I miss the most about my husband is being held in his arms. And there's no other relationship or feeling that brings you that. And I'm sure Naomi missed it. And how alone she must have felt in that place in Moab, and feeling responsible and carrying that load.
I think God has a place and a purpose for me to be right here in this community, and I think that God has, I don't know what my future is. All I know is that I just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other and just keep on going.
People will say to you, "Oh, how you doing?" And what do you think you're going to say? "I'm great," right? Or "life is good," or we keep on moving, like Ruth says, one foot in front of the other, which is true. I lean hard every morning, as Ruth says, grateful.
I'm in a place where the Lord is here, very much so.
But I choose joy every day. When I wake up in the morning, I choose joy, and I count my blessings, and I have a good day. If I do not do that, I have a terrible day.